I was thirsty for some new experience, and I decided to go to see Dubai. And I was really blown away by this place. I was actually so blown away that I wound up right here. And I was amazed by the technological precision with which the city was built on plain sand. Only 20 years ago, there was a desert there. And what do we see today? Today, we see that the builders of Dubai have conquered the elements of nature with the use of state-of-the-art technology in architecture and engineering. We do live in amazing times, don't we? Day by day, we improve our lives. We turn the impossible into the possible with the use of micro and macro technology. And that's all great, but if for some reason we were to turn into Robinson Crusoes, cast offshore somewhere in a remote island, probably only very few of us would know how to survive. Do you know, for example, how a grain of wheat was first turned into flour some thousands of years ago? Was it an accident, or was it a coincidence? We do buy bread every day, but we seldom think that, thanks to agriculture, our ancestors could settle down instead of traveling from land to land for food, so that years after we could build New Yorks, Warsaws, and Dubais for that matter. We do seem to take for granted the fruits of civilization that we've been shared and the knowledge that we have today. And thinking about that all, I actually recently found out that in many cultures, a coconut tree is called a tree of life because of the endless possibilities of the products and byproducts that can be derived from its parts. And the coconut fruit is called the fruit of life because of its amazingly nutritious qualities for human beings. And I actually recently went to a tiny tropical island, and I was lying on the beach under one of those trees of life. I actually could use it only for shadow, so that much I could derive from that tree of life. And one thing struck me, because I realized that if for some reason I would wind up there completely cut off, no food, no water, nothing, just plain sand and palm trees around me, I wouldn't know how to get that coconut from the tree. I could literally starve from thirst while this nutritious fruit would be hanging right above my head, and I wouldn't have any idea how to get it from there. So I got really anxious, and I bumped into a local person who worked there, and I asked him, "Do you know how to get that coconut from the tree?" And he smiled at me, and before I could even think twice, he grabbed his machete, and he jumped on the tree. There he is, climbed up on the top of the island and on the palm tree, and disappeared over the leaves, and in a matter of seconds, the coconut fell down on the ground. I was so much into my Robinson Crusoe anxiety that I felt really saved by this person. Yes, his knowledge could potentially save my life, because there's no nutritious value of that coconut for me if it's hanging on the tree and I don't know how to get it. This experience opened my eyes to the fact that there are so many people who have something valuable to share with us, some knowledge, and that we all possess experience that can provide that nutritious coconut to others. Whatever is hidden, whatever experience or knowledge is hidden behind that symbolic fruit of life. And more, I think that this coconut symbolic depicts something very fundamental about our humanity. You see, if we look at our planet from a distant perspective, imagine as though we were sitting on a moon looking at it. It gives us some distance and some clarity. It actually never worked in my relationships, but trust me, it works with any other thing. So if you look at it from this perspective, there's one particular fundamental quality that becomes immediately evident. It is our togetherness. It is our interdependence. And the fact that we pass on our best experience to next generations. Everything else, our understanding of love, culture, attachment to languages, understanding of technical development stems from that amazing quality that we have. I like to call us a civilization of sharing. We share so that we don't have to ask the same questions all the time, generation after generation. We pass on our best experience so that we can ask new and better questions, so that we can go to the supermarket to get that coconut instead of figuring out each time from scratch how to climb that tree to get it. Sharing best experience in order to ask new and better questions. This, to me, is a fundamental quality of our humanity. And more, this is how I think that we should all understand education. Education is sharing the best quality experience that somebody is in need of right now. The best useful experience, the state-of-the-art knowledge. And why quality? Because if we pass on mediocre experience, mediocre knowledge, people will ask mediocre questions. I recently spoke to a girl while I was living in Paris, and she was from Saudi Arabia, and she was a student there. And she told me, you know what, our government is sending us thousands and thousands to the best universities in the world so we can get the knowledge from there and go back to our country. Because you know what she told me? When the oil is finished, we will have to base entirely on our skills, and our government is investing in this right now. When I lived and worked in Boston, I lived in a building that from ground floor to top floor was inhabited by students from China, studying at MIT, Harvard, Boston University, you name it. This reminded me that sharing best experience, education, is an investment. China understands today that what makes its economy flourish yesterday, its cheap and competitive labor, will be able to be sustained tomorrow by specialized workforce. While preparing this speech with great pleasure, I called around some friends of mine who went to top universities, and I asked them one question: what, in your opinion, is the single differentiating factor that makes your university stand out from any other university? And to my surprise, the answer was similar everywhere. They said, it is the access to the freshest ideas. It is the powerful network of people from many different cultures within the mutual influence of views of the world. This is what makes top universities the most susceptible to innovation. This is what Saudi Arabia and China are hoping to get for the youth and their societies in the future. Recently in Warsaw, a friend of mine asked me, "So, you went to Cambridge? Oh my God, that's amazing. But how did you do that? How did you manage to get there?" And I said, well, you know, I sent an application. But what I didn't tell him, and I know that I should have today, is that it took me a few years to decide that I too, like many others before me, can do that I can go for it, that I'm good enough. Cambridge was a life-changing experience for me. I traveled and worked around the world. I spoke to innovative thinkers and doers who changed the way I look at the world. But when I was 17, 18, I knew nobody who could tell me what it is like there in Cambridge. Am I good enough to apply, and how should I do it? You see, as we speak, there are thousands of highly talented young people in Poland and abroad who are just about to make a paramount decision about what education path to choose. Something that when multiplied by thousands will have influence on our societies, a strong one. You see, we do experience education from our earliest days. You can't go around education, can you? I mean, you know what they say, children, for the first 2 years, you teach them how to walk and talk. And for the next 16, you teach them how to sit down and shut up. But isn't there something to it? And you know, something interesting happens. Because during the time we have to sit down and shut up and listen to our teachers, we are being spoon-fed particular chunks of knowledge that our society expects us to acquire by a certain age. By a certain age, we should acquire this amount of physics and this amount of geography. By a certain age, we should develop hobbies. So that by a certain age, which is around 18, our society expects us, that we develop into fully developed individuals, fully grown, able to make on our own decisions of paramount importance on our lives. And you know what? I don't think this is such an easy thing to do. This is not something that our education gives us in a box. I think that if our society expects us that by a certain age we make such important decisions, our youth does, it is important that our society provides people with knowledgeable experience who can help them go through that process so that they can hear, no, it's not as difficult as you think going to that university. Yes, I know how to do it. And I will help you because I have experience so that they don't have to figure out how to climb that coconut tree. but they can get the knowledge exactly where it's needed and answers to the questions for people who know how to answer them. So, what if the youth somehow had access to top schools networks? What if they could taste Oxford and Cambridge before they even decide to apply or decide to withdraw, God forbid? What if the very network, which, as was said, was the powerful quality of studying at top universities, was available to them before they even decide to apply? Together with some amazing friends of mine, we decided to turn the what if into there you have it. And we are building a foundation that is specifically designed to help talented youth of Polish origins to successfully apply to top universities around the world. We are doing this by building a peer network of current and former students of top universities around the world to personally, face-to-face meetings if possible, or via Skype, Facebook, Gmail, FaceTime, whatever you name it, to help them in the process of applying. How to best fill out an application. Better to go to Oxford or Cambridge to study chemistry. How to apply for financial aid. So that Oxford, Cambridge, Harvard, or MIT are not less within their grasp than any other university. You know, I really believe that information should be paired with goal setting, and that there are people with relevant experience to help us achieve our goal. I truly believe that every one of us, as we sit here, has some valuable knowledge and experience, the knowledge how to get that coconut so it can be shared with others. I believe that too much, and as we sit here, we think, what do we don't have? And we take for granted the knowledge that we do possess. And this knowledge, I promise you, to some people right now can be serving as a life-changing thing. And we should go and share that knowledge to other people so that the next generations can go and ask new and better questions for all of us. Thank you.